Hello everyone, welcome to another live hangout. Oh dear, I always get the intro wrong. It is so good to have you here at Voice Essentials. I'm so pleased that you've been able to join us today. In Australia, it's 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We've had another amazing week as a planet, and I hope wherever you are, that you are safe, that you are healthy. You know, if you have loved ones currently that that are going through the whole coronavirus thing and are suffering or have got the disease, the COVID-19, then we're really thinking of you, and our thoughts are with you. Our hope is that for the next 50 minutes or so that you can just park that for a moment and enjoy the discussion that we're going to have, and it can be just a small opportunity for you to escape for a bit. And as I said last week, Voice Essentials, the live show, is not going to be a show all about coronavirus. It is going to remain a place where we talk about singing, an opportunity for us to, dive into the subject that we all know and love and that we're all passionate about, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it today with a special guest who I'm going to introduce you to in a moment, Francesca de Valence. I got that wrong. I know she's going to correct me when I get to the other side. Francesca, who I've known for many years, actually, is just such a wonderful talent, and she runs a group called Heart Songwriting Club, and she's going to tell us more about that. And it was actually at the beginning of this year that I had this idea. I wanted to introduce you, because many of you are in the US and in other countries other than Australia. Beginning of the year, I thought, you know what, we've got so many amazing people here in Australia that I think, deserve profiling here on the show because they're doing such wonderful work. And not only are they doing great work, they're doing work that I think us as a community at Voice Essentials can really benefit from. And Francesca is no exception to that. So over the next few months, after Easter, I'm going to be introducing you to some more Australians, but Francesca is a fellow Brisbaneite. I think she's still in Brisbane. She'll correct me if I'm wrong, but certainly we went to the same college, university at the Queensland Conservatorium, and we might talk a bit about that. We've sung together. Even today, I got another comment on my YouTube channel, accusing me that I can't sing. Francesca will be able to confirm I can, and I'll introduce you to her in a second. But anyway, let's get into the show, because I do want to dedicate as much time to the show as to Francesca as we possibly can, and that's what we're going to do right after this.
Sound check. Check 1, check 2.
Hello, Francesca. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Dr. Dan. It's really great to be here.
Well, I'm glad you... See, we talked about all of this before the show, and we both got it all wrong.
We're just back to usual, knowing each other.
Thank you for joining me on the show. It is such a pleasure to have you join us and spend some time. It's been a little while since we've actually seen each other in person. I can't remember the last time where I saw you at an ANATS event a couple of years back. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
What have you been up to? Tell us a bit about yourself.
So thanks so much for the very lovely introduction, and also for having me here. I appreciate it. And it's de Valence, but it's
de Valence. So I know. Thank you. I deserve to be corrected.
That's all good. It's all good. I am currently in Brisbane, where I do live most of the time, but I do travel quite a lot throughout the year. And as you know, now we're not traveling, and it's a really I'm taking that as an opportunity to be really grateful for the beautiful place that I do live, the beautiful city that I do live in, and an opportunity to continue to communicate with the people who I have met globally, both through Heart Songwriting Club and beyond online, because we can do that. So, we aren't without We are just, changing the placement of how we communicate and connect with people. So I'm an artist, I'm a songwriter, I'm the founder of Heart Songwriting Club, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, and I'm most passionate about helping people get creatively free, which actually is about them becoming personally free to be able to express themselves any which way they want. And when I help people and when people work with me, whether it's through Heart Songwriting Club or through any other, courses, workshops, what I love to do is inspire them to overcome the barriers that stop them from creating and communicating and expressing with really crystal clear and fun ways to do this. I'm all about play and fun and adventuring. And I love to, empower others with that as well for themselves. So that's who I am.
That's who you are. In the smallest nutshell.
Yeah.
We grew up together. We didn't grow up together, but we went through the same university, the Queensland Conservatorium, and that's kind of, we didn't go through at the same time. I think I don't know whether I was doing my doctorate or my master's while you were doing your I can't remember where we were in the process together.
But we've been peers and colleagues for a while.
For a long time.
Yeah.
We also had the great, what I was a personal pleasure for me. We sang together in this sort of show that, well, sort of, how would you describe what we did together? You played Mary and I played Jesus.
Oh yeah, I was thinking, where's this show? And yes, of course, it was as part of a festival.
It was
excerpts from Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, that was
great.
That was good fun, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, with Craig Burnett.
With Craig
Jesus.
and with Zach Bradford.
Zach Bradford,
who's a fabulous guy. Anyway, there's a whole heap of us in the show, and
And yes, you can sing amazingly, Dr. Dan. For
Right
those doubters out there.
Right. Yeah, it's a funny thing, isn't it? Right back at you too, Fran. You're a wonderful talent, and that's kind of what sort of took you off in the direction of where you've gone, because you no longer teach singing.
Yeah, that's correct.
But you started as a singing teacher. Tell us a bit about that, because I think there's some really exciting things for us all to hear in that.
Yeah, look, I've morphed a lot to be able to be where I am right now. I've really taken a path from, being a music student at the conservatorium to playing as a performer around the world for 10 years, and then sort of pivoting to becoming an original artist, was something that I'd really hesitated to do, because it was much easier to find work as a cover artist and singing backing vocals for people like Keith Urban and Michael Bublé than it was to really go after my own career as an artist. And so when I decided to step into that position to be an artist, I needed to earn money. Like, the reality is, when you're starting out being an artist, you need to have another job. And I wanted to pivot away from playing covers, so I took up singing teaching, and I'd full disclosure, never had singing lessons until I did my undergrad. So I just sang as a kid. I sang everywhere. Like, I was the singer, but I'd never had singing lessons. I had piano lessons, I had violin lessons, I had theory lessons. I was in like QIO, the Queensland Youth Orchestra. I was in all of my school ensembles. I was the lead in my musical. I was choir captain. I was the soloist. But I just sang. Singing is a part of my culture. And so when I stopped, when I was an artist doing covers, I used my voice, I used my piano skills, probably that was pretty much it, and my performing skills. Then pivoting to being a teacher was really an opportunity to earn money. But then I realized, like, I needed some skills around teaching that, because it's not enough to just be a great singer. Like, I realized I had some deficiency, so I went and studied, and I did a master's in pedagogy, in vocal pedagogy, and became definitely more of an expert around that area. In fact, traveled around Australia to run some workshops, masterclasses, and teach and present papers, etc. But my heart really lied in expression, and I wasn't fully doing that myself as a creator, as a singer. It was hard being an artist, essentially, and I sort of you know, lived a life as an artist by night and a teacher by day. And I saw my students, because, you know, I was teaching at the conservatorium and other, you know, tertiary educational institutions and examination bodies. I was just, you know, I was really like across it in terms of where I was placed and who I was helping. You know, it was a real honor to be able to help those people, but they really wanted to be artists. They really wanted to be on those stages, singing the songs that they wanted to sing to their audience and really building that audience for themselves. And here I was sort of not fully going after this for myself. And I really started to question what that was in me. Why was I not stepping into this space? And how could I possibly empower others to do this? And it's almost like I really wore a hat as a teacher, and I really wore a hat as an artist. And I saw the gaps that you know, the barriers that brought for both myself and others. My students, you know, having so many blocks around fully expressing themselves, getting so caught up in technique, you know. And when I learned pedagogy, it was really all about technique. It was so based around technique, because technique is something you can analyze. Whilst it's not super easy with the voice, because the voice is an invisible instrument and you're using sound and a little bit of visuals to gauge, you know, it's easier to analyze than what is creative freedom? What is freedom of expression? Like, how do you analyze that? You can't. So here we are with these tools to really teach. I'm really going deep in this, to really teach technique. And yet these people are just getting analysis paralysis in their head, thinking, how can I do this with this tiny little 10-cent diameter, you know, set of muscles and ligaments and, you know, in their bodies. I mean, obviously there's a much bigger picture at play, but that's what really was kind of a crisis point for me, where I wasn't doing it myself and I saw this in others, and I was mentally unwell, like full disclosure, and my students were mentally unwell. I suffered from anxiety and panic attacks, even my teaching job, around this gap. And my students, I could see the same thing. You know, I really could relate to them, and I wanted it to be different for them. Yeah. So that's when I changed.
It's
just mindful of not speaking the whole time. A lot to say around this.
Just as a little point in there, I just want to let everyone know that we're so far we've been okay, but the internet connection has been a bit funny, everyone, and we knew this going into the show. So if there's a little bit of, you know, just stick with us. We'll get through it together. Francesca, it's you know, I understand that that dichotomy of performer teacher. You know, I remember when I was touring my album back in 2006, 7, 8, first an EP and then an album. There can be almost become a disconnect. My way of responding to that disconnect is I went down more of becoming more of a teacher than a performer. You've taken a different road. You've gone down the road of becoming more of a performer, but you've also started to do the songwriting club. Tell us more about how that came about and how you came to form what. One of the main reasons I wanted to have you on was to talk about the Heart Songwriting Club, because I observe it from afar. It's not something I participate in personally, but I do see what you're doing, and I just think it's fabulous. Tell us more about how that came about, and tell us more about the group.
You know, I would probably reframe that I've chosen to take a performing versus a teaching role, because I actually think I've combined them both. And sort of created, like you've done yourself, Dr. Dan, you're a leader in your field, and you really stepped out from the way that people do things to really service people who need a different something, a different offering, a different something for themselves, you know, so that they could relate to that. Yes. And so that's what I've done too. You know, I really wanted to be able to help the people who wanted that sense of, I want creative freedom. I want to feel accepted. I want to feel included. I want to, you know, be encouraged. I want to become like better at being a songwriter, but in this safe space to do so, where perfectionism and analysis and technique aren't the cornerstones of that. You know, it's community, it's creativity, it's freedom are the cornerstones of that. And so, you know, coming from a place of, you know, rigorous classical education, jazz education, then pedagogy, you know, like I was really entrenched in a lot of systems of ways to do things. So I really had to step out from that. And I actually, it was in conjunction with in a lesson with a student of mine, where I saw her, because she's a singer, she's still a singer-songwriter, you know, she wanted to be a singer-songwriter. And I gave her a homework activity to write a song for homework. And when she came to a lesson, I asked her to play it for me and share whatever she had created in that week. And she identified in her emotional outbursts that happened afterwards that, you know, she identified, or I identified in her, that was, she was beating herself up because her ideas weren't good enough, and it was creating her to not create anything at all. So how could she be a singer with freedom in her instrument and freedom in her voice and freedom to express if everything she's doing is not good enough? And that was this barrier that I was finding in all of my students. There was a barrier of not being good enough. And I had, in that moment, seen myself in that. You know, this is 5.5 years ago in that lesson I'm talking about. And in that moment, you know, as a teacher I love my students, I really want to help them. And I knew that if I could help her, I could help me. And that was my biggest issue too, is I was a perfectionist, totally judging and being critical of my own ideas, that I struggled to even write 4 songs a year. Now, as an artist who is recording music and putting music out there, having music played on radio, making albums, etc., I need songs. You know, I need songs, and that's what I wanted to create. And I wanted my songs to be good. So in that moment, I said to this student, Erin, her name is, I'm starting a songwriting club, and you and I are the first members, and we are not going to beat ourselves up anymore about this. We're going to make songwriting fun. We're going to make it fast. We're going to do it every week. We're going to support each other. And as a teacher who wanted to, you know, always put that level of separation between me and the students, because that was what I learnt a teacher to be, I realized in that moment I was going to have to show up really vulnerably to this too.
Yeah.
And so we decided, I basically told her what the homework was, that we have to write a song in an hour this week, and we're going to text it to each other, and let's do this for 10 weeks. And let's get some friends involved. And next thing you know, we've got 10 people writing 10 songs in 10 weeks individually, all within the space of an hour. I'd sent people little themes to get them started, like to set the challenge up. Essentially, is like, your theme is hot dog. You've got 1 hour to write a song, and go. You can't get perfect in 1 hour. There's like, it's almost like permission just to write anything, right? And it's that process that actually began Heart Songwriting Club, which is now a club that services 700 members around the world. You know, in 16, 17 different countries. We've helped them write over 10,000 songs. Wow. And helped so many people become creatively free. And we've launched songwriters and artists' careers through that process. And we've not personally launched them. They've launched themselves. Yes. Because, you know, at the outset, they're writing songs every single week and sharing them with each other and giving each other feedback, creating that sense of immediate relief from the stress that you have around writing songs. Because when you write them and you're like, oh my God, this is so bad, as soon as you share it with somebody, it takes that relief away, because nobody hates your idea as much as you do. Nobody hates you as much as you do. And goes, guys, if that's you, well, like I feel you, but we've got to stop doing that to ourselves. We've got to really stop being our own worst enemy and actually start to be okay with creating anything and just keep creating it. And it was like the cornerstones of the club is like around creating community, giving feedback, uplifting each other, but also being consistent and just showing up and just writing a song every single week. And, you know, as I said, we've got people that have launched careers, but also pro songwriters who have really struggled to write songs, both on the road and both off the road, who have been nominated for ARIA Awards, which is like our Brit Music Awards, or our, what are your American, sorry, I've just forgotten, the Grammys, right?
The Grammys.
Just like our Grammys have been nominated for songs they wrote in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the result from this, again, on the outset, it's about writing songs, but on the inside, it's about career development. But on the inside of the onion, right, when you peel the layers back, it's about personally getting creatively free, and it's changed my life.
Wow, that's cool. I just want to do a shout out to there wasn't a name with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you throwing a few coin into the super chat. Yeah, well, there's so much in there to talk about, and I love the something we talk about here on Voice Essentials a lot is that vocal technique should never sanitize your voice. It should never crush your creativity. It should empower creativity. Talk to us a bit more about how you're using that songwriting process. And you kind of touched on it just then, so it's not as if you haven't already talked about it, but talk to us a bit more about how you're using songwriting to really massage people's creativity.
Yeah, I mean, the process of creating something in a space of mystery, in a space of where nothing existed, is kind of a big part in that, because when you sing a song that you have an idea and expectation of what it should sound like. Who's done it before you better than you? And I mean, that's just such a barrier to getting started. And there's all sorts of arguments, for want of a better word, around what key things should be, and honoring the original key it was written in. Oh my God, honor your voice, please. Honor your voice, honor your expression. And that can be done so beautifully when you create with your own voice. Like yesterday, the song, I wrote my song for song 291 out of all the songs I've written in the club. 291 weeks, 291 songs.
Wow.
I just stood around my lounge room, and like the challenge was to use body percussion and your voice. It started, and so I started, getting into body percussion, like using some slaps and some clicks and some claps, and using my voice. Now immediately it sits in the place where it sits in my voice for that expression. It's free. Because I don't have an idea of what I'm creating, it's a complete mystery. I don't actually know where this is going. And so in order to be able to do it, I actually have to become freer with my voice. I actually have to be free to let it out.
Yeah.
And then where it sits in my register is a lot more freer as a result of that too, not creating something where I feel like it should be. And, that's the best part of my voice, or that's my I don't even know what words people are using in like passage. Are we still using that? I don't know. In the point where we're changing, our registration,
sort of
right?
Yeah.
And you see it on a piece of music, and you're like, I can't sing that note, right? We don't do that we don't do that when we're creating songs. We just use sound, or we just use our voice to create sound. And it doesn't matter if you can play an instrument or not. I encourage people to not use an instrument to become free to express with your voice. So I think, in terms of not having an expectation of what the song sounds like is one thing that really differs from a song that you're learning in a singing lesson. And also then creating the song in a space where it naturally sits in your voice to express whatever word that was, or whatever statement that was that you blurted out in that space of nothingness. I think that there are two things that really have helped. And over time, it just feels like there's a sense of, like, I want to say ownership, but I'm not sure if that's the right word. It's just a sense of uniqueness, like authenticity, and that really starts to come out over time. I think it's like you would need like a good year of doing that, I think, even to really start to notice that part of it. But like we've had hundreds of people both in the club and maybe even hundreds of people in our courses, and definitely thousands of people that have come to my workshops around the world, both online and in person. And one of the things that I do is to create a sense of fun, play, adventure, exploration in the workshop, so that everybody leaves having written a song just using their voice. And most people think they say things like, I used to be so up in my head around writing songs and using my voice, and that it had to be good and it had to be right. And all those words, good and right, we challenge those words in the club. I don't even want them to exist. There's free and done, and not free and not done. I mean, those words work better for me. I don't know about you, but try them on if you want to give them a go.
I think any language that takes us away from, categoric outcome and orientates us to the process as opposed to the product, I think is really, really helpful, and that's what I'm hearing from you. I wonder what you might find yourself saying to, we've probably got a number of people watching the show right now, and or who will watch it as a replay. And hello to everyone that will watch this as a replay, because you are actually the majority of people who will watch the show, who say to themselves, yeah, but I can't songwrite. It's not something that I can do. You know, it's I'm not a songwriter, and even if I wanted to, I wouldn't know where to start. What would you say to that person?
I would say there are people out there in the world that say I can't sing. Do you believe them? You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
have been told they can't sing because maybe they haven't done it much and they don't have experience, and maybe one person once upon a time told them they couldn't do it, and so it's almost like they've created a belief that they can't do it. So if you see that being true for others, where you sing and you love singing and you can encourage others to sing because you know all they need is to be able to use their voice, then I would say the same thing for you about songwriting. That I believe everyone can write a song. It depends how open you are to being okay in that space of mystery and giving yourself a break and being loving and kind to yourself. That's really important in this, you know. And you know how I say how writing so many songs every week in that community has changed my life. That it's not just the song outcomes and how I get to travel around the world, and how I've taught myself how to play guitar, and I record and release music by myself, and how I learned to sing in French and have shows in Paris. Like, they're cool things, but you know, the things that I love the most is that I have learned to be incredibly resilient in my life from this process, that I have learned to feel fulfilled, that I have learned to feel connected with others in a really authentic way. But more than anything, I feel a sense of self-love. And I don't mean egotistical self-love. I mean, I'm okay with myself. I'm kind to myself. And I think we need a lot more of that around the world for ourselves, so that we actually interact with people more at that level too, which is going to create a whole lot more balance and harmony in our lives, in our countries, and our communities. So for those sakes who say I can't write a song, I would challenge you to come to one of my online workshops. In fact, there are some happening this week, which you can check out on our events page, our workshop page in the club. There will be in-person workshops that happen again in the future. I've just come back from the US, running workshops around the country. So I'm sure if your audience is mainly there, I will be back in probably 2021. But I would challenge you, come to a workshop, join the club. Come to something that is going to help you unlock those tools for yourself, because it's truly transformative.
What are the primers to the process? You know, when someone's first starting out, what are the practical things that you lay out for a person? It's sort of the crumbs that sort of lead a person along a path.
You mean in terms of writing a song?
Yeah.
So I don't teach anybody how to write songs, because I don't believe that there is any one way how to write a song, right? I don't. Again, it probably comes from my dogmatic sort of educational upbringing around, there can't be just one way to play a violin, right? But anyway, there was, and it had to be perfect. So my approach, again, I'm not a songwriting teacher. I'm just an unlocker. I'm an inspirer. I like those words better. Maybe a mentor is probably a little bit more of something that you would understand, or a facilitator. What I do is I unlock that for you so you can become creatively free. And it's often around mindset, but it's also there are some practical tools which are linked to that. And I think, you know, in essence, most people don't finish what they start. So they have this inspired idea, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, I'm gonna write a song. I'm gonna take that idea, if you know, and people think that has to come from inspiration, but you're going to hit a block somewhere along the line. And if you're lucky, you won't, and you'll get the whole song down, right? But you're going to hit a block probably 99 times out of 100, you're going to hit a block. And there, what you do in that process, that becomes a bit of where the resilience builds so you can finish. So essentially, like, finishing what you start is so important with full permission for it to be a really cheesy song, a really dodgy, again, I'm avoiding words good or bad, so that it is done. So that it is done. And you can then move on to the next idea or the next creative, project that you've got. But then what happens is we've got these hundreds of unfinished ideas. We also feel paralyzed and not being good enough, like, who am I to want to write songs? I can't even finish songs. So I think in the practical sense, it's finishing what you start,
Yeah.
and then using curiosity as the tool to get unstuck when the sticking happens.
Yeah.
And curiosity can look like permission to just go down that way, even if you like, well, I'm not a kids singer, like a kids writing songs for kids singer, but that's what's coming out as. Write it, just go down that path, full permission for it to be, finish it, just finish it, because otherwise you're left paralyzed by these unfinished things. I also think it's really important to set time aside to do it. So writing songs is kind of it's intangible, right? Another intangible thing. It's intangible. There is no urgent need to write a song, really, unless you've got an album you're recording next week. There's probably an urgent need then. There's no urgent need to write a song. So unless you actually carve out the time to do the thing that you want to improve in, like that's why you have singing lessons. But in terms of songwriting, which is why I've created a whole club that helps people do these things, is unless you've got the time carved out to do it, it doesn't get done. And you're left kind of going, well, why would I bother? Why do I bother? Like, maybe I'm just not good enough. And then you start believing the stuff that we start telling ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, I think another practical aspect of it is to not do it alone. And I don't mean necessarily you having to co-write with somebody, but if you've written something, you finished it, and just get some relief from the anxiety that can be played over and over in this cycle in your head. Like, is this good enough? I don't know if this is good enough. Should I sing it at my recital? Should I take it to a recording studio? So those things can, if you can move past those things and really like get a handle on those things, I think you're going to be on your way to completing like 10 songs in 10 weeks, 20 songs in 20 weeks, 60 songs in 60 weeks. And you're going to start to see what's possible for yourself. In terms of practicality, it could be literally whatever idea comes out. So it's like, that's the first thing that came out then. Oh, da, 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 ba, 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 ba. Da, 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 ba, 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 da, 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 da. And then I'm like, okay, we've got to write words to that. It's like, well, I don't know what that is. It sort of feels a bit 90s hip-hop-y type thing. It's not my vibe. So what? Finish it. It's okay. Just finish it.
Well, there's the start of 292 for you. Isn't it 291 that you've...
but the problem is I didn't set the time aside, so I'm not going to finish it. So it's just for the purposes of this. I literally will set time aside and create in that space, and the resulting outcomes, I've talked about resilience and that fulfillment and that sense of self-love, but like, I'm not talking to singers right here. The result is also my voice has never been better. My voice has never been richer. I mean, when you think about voice and freedom of voice, you want to have an equal level of release, but also effort. And you really want to manage that well, so you're not over efforting. And if you're in your head and you're analyzing everything that you're doing and you're trying to small muscle things or even like muscle your way through singing, it's going to create all sorts of other problems and pitching problems. It's not going to even feel good. Sure. And then sort of how I've approached my freedom of my voice is I really care less. Firstly, I care less and I do it a lot. And I mean, I am very blessed to have had that background to know when things go wrong. So I think definitely having tools around that, absolutely having tools around that. I've got my tools around that. And that's really important moving forward, especially when it comes to injury and things like having a sustainable income, sustainable career so that you can, continue singing for the rest of your life. But I care less about getting it right. That's more my point. I care less about getting it right. And my body releases into that. And I sound richer, freer,
and more joyful. In fact, one of the joyful outcomes of the Heart Songwriting Club has been here in Brisbane, Australia. We have our local radio station is 612 ABC Brisbane, and you guys, is it once a week? Are you still doing that?
It's once a fortnight.
Once a fortnight.
We're obviously not doing it right now,
No.
but we would have been.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun because you know, for those who have, a lot of people won't have seen you do this. You go into the radio station with Kelly Higgins Devine from memory, and do people call in the topics or words?
Yeah, so the club, I Heart Songwriting Club, is completely online,
Right.
but in Brisbane, where our headquarters are, and where actually a lot of our members are, because most of the songwriting community here in the club, they use it as their songwriting creation tool and their community. But we do get people together, and if you're touring through Australia and you come through Brisbane, we do get people together, and we get 4 people, members of the club, onto our radio show every fortnight with Kelly Higgins Devine on ABC Radio. And we get our listeners to call in and give us, it's like totally amplified and sillified what we do in the club. And it's like the listeners call in with a theme and a guideline and a word and a genre. Oh my gosh, I've banned dubstep from anyone allowing to call in with that after we had a quite catastrophic genre of dubstep. But and so some of those people, like a lot of our members in the club, are actually singing teachers, because they enjoy this. It's fun.
Yeah,
for them.
it is a lot
Obviously,
of fun.
They're
And
all singers on some level, but we just write a song together in 30 minutes, and then sing it on radio for the first time ever, and it's often a big laugh. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I haven't had the opportunity to tell you that I've seen the show, seen you, because you share the link then onto Facebook, and I enjoy watching them because they are just frivolous fun, and goodness me, right now, do we need more of that? We certainly do, and so
that's the approach. And like frivolous made, I can see from the outside that perhaps people, and I don't take that the wrong way at all. I think it is absolutely fun, but there is something essential going on under that. It's the freedom in the body and the freedom in the mind and the freedom to connect and communicate, regardless of what anyone else might think. And I think that is a tool that we all can benefit from.
Yeah.
Bringing into our lives.
It's the carefree. I use the term frivolous in the manner of being carefree. It's wonderful, and you can see it in the participants who are writing, who have come together to write for that. So I hope that in the future we're going to get to see you doing more of that with the group. As we come to, excuse me, my voice is a bit funny. As we come to the end of today's show, tell us a bit more about how people might go about connecting with the Heart Songwriting Club and what the process might look like for them in wanting to find you and join you and start writing.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share that. So we have a website, iHeartSongwritingClub.com, where you can check out everything that we offer, which includes a club. And the club is basically anyone can join it. We do probably just recommend for people's own sense of like ease that maybe you've written 10 songs before you join the club, just so that you understand how to write a song. And if you haven't written a song before joining the club, we actually have 2 different courses, one for adults and one for kids. And we actually take you through a 10-week process of learning how to write a song. Again, it's learning how to write a song. No, what I do is I teach you how to unlock your creativity. I teach you how to get really free with that so that you can write 10 songs in 10 weeks. And then everyone who's done both of those courses has actually just gone on to join the club. So I run those courses, and then we have a professional songwriting mentor that also facilitates within that. So you're actually getting live feedback on everything that you're doing that's in real time. There's also loads of free workshops that we offer. Some have got a small ticket price on them, especially if they're like a 4-hour half-day workshop, which I'm running on Wednesday afternoon Australia time. They're all on our website. And then we offer free seminars essentially that we do pretty much every month. We're doing a few more now, so anyone can just jump on board and book themselves in for one of those sessions, and I run them, and I give people a chance to ask questions at the end of that. There's also we're really active on Facebook, but also on Instagram, but also on YouTube. So we have a YouTube channel where we've got our ABC performances that we've shared on there, plus some words from our members. And we have a Spotify playlist of songs that have been created in the club that have actually been released independently by those artists.
Yeah.
Or some of them are not independent, some of them are with labels, but
right.
not everyone. So there's so many ways to get in touch, but I just would recommend going to iHeartSongwritingClub.com and checking out what we offer and how you can be involved. I think that if you're not sure about what to do next, either book in for one of the free seminars, or a workshop. I think that they're probably the best ways, because it's minimal investment. So it's a free workshop, or maybe a $50 ticket for a half-day workshop with me. And then you can sort of feel like, oh yeah, I could join the club, or I could join the course. And that's the way I can continue to help you on your journey about getting creatively free. And even if you don't want to be a songwriter, again, a lot of teachers are joining this to become more free with themselves, and also to help empower their students to do the same thing. And I just honor those people so much for wanting to invest in themselves and their journey.
Yeah, and right now, with people in, are we calling it lockdown, isolation? People are finding
social distancing.
Social distancing, yeah. People are finding they've got a little bit more time where they can enroll in courses like yours, and so I'd be encouraging everyone, if you're interested in songwriting, or you think, hey, I'm feeling a little bit locked up as far as my creativity when it comes to my voice, songwriting may well be something that you can participate in to discover and explore more vocal freedom. Even if songwriting is not the outcome you're seeking, it may well be the tool to help you develop your voice. We need to bring today to a close, believe it or not. Time is running away on us. What is some final thoughts that, we called the thumbnail for today's video was singing versus creativity. And I think, as we would have expected, it's not an either or, is it? It's not a one versus the other. But is there anything that you would like to share just as we come to a close? Any final thoughts that you want to throw out into the ether for people to chew on for the next few weeks?
Yeah, sure, I would. I feel like we're really emerging in a new world, and I think that that can't be denied right now. And in this new world right now, we're sort of being forced to look at what's working and what's not working about the way we live, our choices we've made. Are we doing the things that we've always wanted to do? Are we fulfilled? Are we feeling as, that we've developed and grown as much as we've wanted to in our lives? And do we ever get there, really? There's a journey to this. And for me personally, I want to keep growing until the day I die. And that fills me with excitement and not dread. I'm really excited about the future because of that desire to keep learning. So as we emerge into the new world, and I'm seeing this with my personal Heart Songwriting Club group, the group of people that I share my songs with every week, is that it's almost like, what have we got to lose right now? What have you got to lose? We've pretty much been forced to stop doing everything that we have been doing in the world. So what have we got to lose? You get to choose how you move forward in this world right now. You get to choose that. And if you don't want to take that power for yourself, and I don't mean power to control over others, but power to make choices for your own lives, then you might be missing an opportunity, and a really beautiful and exciting one and kind one for yourself. So as you move forward, what have you got to lose? If you've wanted to be that singer who writes their own music and puts that out there, then what have you got to lose? Just start doing that, because the whole paradigm is shifting right now. And if you want to step into that, then do it.
And then do it. Absolutely. That's a really inspirational. I mean, I found today's entire show inspirational. I know everyone watching will have really been able to glean off your enthusiasm and your encouragement, and you know, it's not that it's in short supply at the moment, but it's so good to be inspired by your passion, and I knew that's kind of why I invited you onto the show, because I knew that's what you would bring, and it's just so happens to be very timely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
for where we arrived. Thank you very much for coming on, and I'm hoping that a number of the Voice Essentials community will go and check out the Heart Songwriting Club, because I really do think there's something in there for a lot of you who may be feeling a bit locked up. And even if you're not, even if you think, you know what, I want to add another string to my bow, songwriting is certainly one that I'd encourage you, a muscle, if you like, something that I'd love to encourage you to develop and build, because it is. You may not like the expression of this, but it is a skill, isn't it? It's a skill. It's a craft that we develop over time. And
absolutely a skill.
You know, I'm sure your 290-second song is better than your first. And I look forward to hearing how the 292 comes about. If you can remember how it went, you'll have to go back and watch the video to see what you did in way back. We're going to bring today to a close. I'll get you to, if you can give us a wave goodbye, because I'm just going to wrap up.
Thanks, Dr. Dan. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Francesca. Wow, such a wonderful, wonderful way to spend, the last 45 minutes. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button just to give us that level of feedback. And I can see the chat has been going off. So thank you for participating. Go and check out Heart Songwriting Club. There is just the community that Francesca has gone about nurturing. I think you'll find it not dissimilar to the Voice Essentials community. Very encouraging, very supportive, very nurturing. So go and check it out. I really encourage you to do that. Don't forget, we line up here every week. Now, I say that, but actually, we won't be back now for 2 weeks. It'll be a fortnight, because next Monday is Easter Monday, a public holiday that I will celebrate. And so I won't be back here next week. It's 2 weeks before we see each other again, when we'll come back, and I think I've got scheduled to do a Q&A. I haven't looked that far ahead. So come back in 2 weeks. Always remember, if you do want to get notifications, make sure you've got to sub to the channel and then hit the white bell icon to receive those notifications to make sure you don't miss a show. If you know someone who needs inspiring, needs encouraging, share this video with them, because I know everything that Francesca has had to say to us today has been very in keeping with all of that. I hope you have a great Easter, if that's something you celebrate. If you don't, that's okay too. I hope you are safe. I hope you are healthy. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, when you'll always hear me say, I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.